Welcome to the Future Health Research and Innovation Open Day for July 2024. I'm Dr. Tracey Wilkinson, the Director of Stakeholder Engagement for WA with MTPConnect and in the WA Life Sciences Innovation Hub.
And welcome. I'm Kevin Pfleger. I'm a Professor at University of West Australia and Director of Biomedical and Health Innovation for the WA Life Science Innovation Hub.
This Open Day is being co-hosted by the Hub and the Office of Medical Research and Innovation at the Department of Health, and it's our pleasure to be your MCs for the morning. This is the first ever Open Day to feature innovation as its theme, a subject close to my and Kevin's hearts. We're excited to showcase innovative work being done in Western Australia, as well as take the opportunity to shake up the Open Day format just a little bit. But first, I'd like to introduce you to Freda Ogilvie, a Noongar woman to welcome us to country. Driven by her strong interest in politics and education, Freda has been involved in educating and developing strategies and programs for students from diverse linguistic, cultural and socio-economic backgrounds, including the Early Years Learning Framework. It's all right, I'm not going to say too much to embarrass you. Please welcome Freda.
Thank you, Tracey, or should I say Dr. Tracey? But sometimes I think to myself, I'm just a teacher and I've been out there and done it for 37 years and now I'm mixing with people from all levels. But thank you to the team for inviting me in to share and to present a welcome to country. And health has always been very central to my life because my mother was the very first Aboriginal health worker. She actually set up the health worker program. And she wasn't a qualified nurse, but she was a very practical woman who had 9 children, so what else could you do? And so she taught us a lot of those very early health standards that we needed to follow on. And I was teaching in FHRI Crossing, Year 1 class, and I thought, this little boy's sort of out of the book. And I thought I couldn't really put my finger on it, but then I sort of wrote down a few things, which is what teachers do, they observe. And so I spoke to the school nurse the next day and I said, could you do some tests for him? And I said, because I think there's something wrong. So it wasn't bad behaviour, but every time we did something, he'd be looking around to see what the other kids were doing. So she took him away and tested him the next day, came back and she said, Freda, he's got 5% hearing. So I think probably just as well that I did have my eyes and ears open and being very observant, and also some of that training from my mother that really did help this child. So then we finished up with all the audio things in my classroom, and I thought, no, I've got to do something so the kids don't break it or throw it around. So I put them all on the earphones and threaded them through so they all had a turn, and they were quite happy with that. So I think it's sometimes we have to teach out of the box, throw off those guidelines and time frames and do something that is recognisable and what students need. But I want to say Kaya, welcome. Anija Kedjala, Kurlin Murich Cardigan. I translated those words from my favourite author, Eleanor Roosevelt, and she was a special education teacher, so I had a lot in common with her. And she said, with the new day comes new strength and new thoughts. And I thought, that's exactly the message I need after the defeat of the referendum. And I thought, no, that's it. So when I go out, that's my platform, is with when the new day comes, new strength and new thoughts. So I hope that you go away with some new thoughts today. So ngan kura nija bruda kwap wanju maman buja nija ngan. I pay my respects to my past, present and future leaders, Brudias or bosses, and strangers on Wajak land. Our cardigan or knowledge and understanding of Noongar Buja or country reflects our deep spiritual and physical connection to country and to places of significance. For each Noongar group, there is a place of significance where we go to celebrate or pay tribute to those who have passed on. And that's why we usually have a welcome with the smoking. The Belia Kat Mura Kalap Nija Derable Nyara, Derbyarrigan, Ngardigan, Keech, Mearing and Darch. As a Wajak Balladong custodian and a traditional owner and a matriarch, I welcome you to the Great Sea and the Great Rivers, the Derbyl, Yarrigan and the Jalgara, or the Canning River, which means abundance, where my family and ancestors left their footprints while gathering their food and constructing their maiamais for over 60,000 years. Everything in our vast landscape has meaning and purpose. We speak our own language, have our own law and customs. This law is characterised by a strong spiritual connection to country. This means caring for the natural environment and for places of significance. Our law is practiced from a cultural governance system, following an unspoken yet understood law. I know, sometimes I don't know. Noongar elders maintain cultural governance and have the responsibility and obligation to share and pass on. So Kardijan, Wajak Buja, Wiranijamurdich. Our knowledge and understanding of Noongar reflects deep spiritual and physical connection to the land and places of significance. We stand here near Burulu and we stand near Karakumba, a significant site, celebrations and a place to communicate for the community. This is our cosmology and our epistemology. Noongar people have a cultural responsibility to have a relationship with the Budja, or the land, by respecting the land, caring for it, and protecting it through traditional practices. We continue to demonstrate our strong connection to country. So how did I learn to read and write? My grandfather used to say to me, Freda, come and read these names out. Oh, what is it, Pop? What do you want? When I looked at it, oh, it was horses. It was a TAB guide. Yes, Pop, which one do you want? Yeah, this one. You know that race that stops the nation? That was it. So I had to read all the names out, read all the jockeys, I had to find the barriers. Well, how do I know where the barriers are, Pop? Yeah, it's a number. Oh, okay. So I firmly believe that was my reading practice and why I could read and write the way I did during my early years. And because he was illiterate and never went to school, Mum went to Standard 5, Dad went to Standard 2, so there wasn't much learning there, but Mum built her skills on, and then both Mum and Dad went to the AIC, or the Adult Education Certificate, which is up to Year 8, which is part of Edith Cowan, and then they stayed on to Year 10, so they did build on those skills a bit later. But even before they went to school, she had already started that Aboriginal health worker program. So Ballabing, Kuruk, Nunuk, Bulyaka, Bulija. Noongar people have a profound physical and spiritual connection to country. It relates to beliefs and customs regarding creation, life and death, and spirits of the earth. Spiritual connection to country guides the way we understand, navigate, and use the land. It also influences our cultural practices, such as smoking to ward off bad spirits, and welcome to country the good spirits to accommodate our needs and care for us. Jinang Mumbuka Kep Wurl, Nijangang Burung. Look up and down the land to where the river meanders and meets the horizon and the sky. Look at the sun, which warms the land, and the rain to nourish and encourage growth. As Noongar people, we come to know our connection to country through our family, or our murt. This means we can identify our country, the place where we feel at home, where we can move about freely without having to obtain anyone's permission. Walyalup is my favourite place, and I'm proud and I'm passionate. So yes, I'm a Fremantle Dockers. So Noongar law and custom guides the way in which we define our country and our rights to it. Law influences how we connect with and care for the land. As Noongar people, we have a duty to speak to our country, to acknowledge its values to our communities, and to observe law that governs who may or may not speak for country, as well as share with the broader community. Some of you have come from a great distance. Some of you are going on a great journey. Go safely as you return home on your forward journey. And I invite you to walk beside me and share the history, language and culture of the Noongar people. This contribution makes a rich tapestry to move forward in reconciliation and truth. And you know, I'm a teacher. I want to teach you a word. Yanka. Can you say yanka? Yanka, thank you. So you just said thank you in Noongar. And the other word I'd like to teach you is Buruwan. Buruwan. I'll see you later, because we don't have a goodbye in Noongar language. It's see you later. So thank you and enjoy your day.
Yanka Freda. I loved hearing about your reflections from your family, and I think the topic of new strengths and us learning them and doing something different is the very definition of innovation. So hello and thank you to everyone who has joined us in person and online. For those online, I'm not sure that you can see, there's a room full of faces looking back at me. I will quickly address some housekeeping items. If the fire alarm sounds, a voiceover is going to tell you to evacuate. Fire wardens will direct you to the closest emergency exit. And once outside the building, the muster point is on the far side of Riley Oval near the Octagon Theatre. Please stay there until someone tells you otherwise. Oh, and the toilets are near the seminar rooms, close to the foyer.
FHRI Fund Open Days mark the start of each 3-monthly funding cycle, which is when funding programs are launched and open for applications. As you know, world-class research innovation takes place in Western Australia, and the goal of the FHRI Fund is to support this by providing a secure source of funding for health and medical research, innovation and commercialisation. There is a rapidly expanding innovation ecosystem in this state, which the FHRI Fund supports through the Department of Health and the Department of Jobs, Tourism, Science and Innovation. In particular, the FHRI Fund is supporting innovation through programs such as the Innovation Fellowships, Innovation Challenges, Innovation Seed Fund. Several incredible innovations have come out of WA, including all cells regenerative medicine therapies for musculoskeletal disorders, Argenica's Therapeutics' groundbreaking new stroke treatment, ARG-007, which is expected to improve patient and outcomes by protecting the brain tissue from dying until blood flow can be restored. And of course, Professor Fiona Wood's spray on skin, given to 28 people who received third-degree burns in the 2002 Bali bombings, reducing their risk of scarring and in some cases saving their lives, and now commercialised by Avita Medical.
Not to mention Dimerix, which I'm mentioning, so not to embarrass Kevin. So Dimerix is developing novel treatments to transform the lives of patients with inflammatory diseases. It's currently in a phase 3 trial for a rare kidney disease that I'm not going to try and say out loud. Kevin is the Chief Scientific Advisor for Dimerix, having co-invented the company's DMX-200 therapy with Dr. James Williams and Liddy McCall, who are also in the audience today. As well as Dimerix, we're going to explore some of the innovations being developed right here in our own backyard with significant potential to improve health outcomes for patients. The program features an innovation showcase with presentations on, well, now 4, thanks to a COVID cancellation, diverse early stage innovations that have received funding from the FHRI Fund. You'll also have the chance to meet several local innovators at the Innovation Marketplace after the formalities. We do encourage you to stay for networking and to meet some of these innovators and hopefully touch and feel some of their innovations. They have dragged them out here in the rain. Please make it worth their while. And the whole day is intended to be an opportunity for you to get face-to-face with their innovations and leave today with more connections across WA's startup, small to medium business and innovation sector. I'd now like to welcome the Honourable Stephen Dawson, Minister for Emergency Services, Innovation and the Digital Economy, Science, Medical Research, to talk to us about the innovation and the FHRI Fund. Please welcome Honourable Stephen Dawson.
Thanks, Tracey and Kevin, and good morning. I might start by saying, Kaya, Nala Kadich, Wajok, Nyunga Murt, Kaya, Kadak, Nijibuja. Can I too acknowledge that we're on the land of the Wajok people of the Noongar Nation today and pay my respects to elders past, present, emerging, and thank you, Freda, for your welcome to country. Can I also acknowledge Rebecca Tomkinson, who is the chair of the Future Health Research Innovation Fund Advisory Board, and to Angela Kelly, the Deputy Director General, Angela Kelly PSM, the Deputy Director General of the Department of Health, who's here as well. And I'll mention the other board members very shortly. It is great to join you, and a special thank you to the Office of Medical Research and Innovation, or OMRI, at the Department of Health, but also to Tracey, Kevin and the team at the WA Life Sciences Innovation Hub for co-hosting today's event. Today's theme is a connected innovation ecosystem. And a connected ecosystem can accelerate discoveries, it can improve patient outcomes, and encourages a more responsive healthcare system, something that cannot be overstated. Building partnerships between clinicians, between researchers, business, industry, philanthropy, and government is an important part of connecting our ecosystem. And I certainly believe with the right mix of partners, funding, complementary capabilities, and specialists, we can well and truly launch WA health and medical research and innovation to greater heights. And these open days are vitally important to this process. It's an opportunity to unite and to share ideas and insights on emerging priorities and opportunities, and also to discuss how we can continue to positively drive the WA health and medical research and innovation sector. It was great to hear that we had such great interest in today's event. It is a sellout. I think we had 280 people register. So for those who, the room was almost full, but certainly we have a big crowd online too. So thank you for your interest and participation. The Future Health Research and Innovation Fund is our government's premier flagship funding program. And we know that world-leading research and innovation requires continuous and consistent investment and support. And the fund does just that. Since the fund was established in 2020, about $175 million in grants have been given out to 598 recipients. And that has helped and continues to help support health and medical research and innovation in this state. Over the next 4 years, we have about $250 million to give out, and that's to continue funding more innovative programs and initiatives. I do want to congratulate the 87 recipients who have received funding during our previous funding cycle. So since March, 87 grants gone out, about $60 million across 10 programs. So to each and every one of you, congratulations, and I look forward to seeing your projects progress. The recent round of funding demonstrates how WA's talented cohort of researchers are taking a unique approach to tackling important but also relevant issues that are facing the community. And it's the fund's advisory council that plays a key role in the governance of the fund. I do want to extend my thanks to Dr. Maura McKinnon, who has recently stepped down, who was a rural and regional rep on the board. Thank her for her endeavours. I am looking for a regional rep at the moment, so if you know somebody regional WA, rural WA, who might be good to have on there, let one of the team know. And I will also welcome Dr. Marcus Tan, who has just joined us as of this week, who has outstanding credentials in medicine, but also health leadership, venture funds, and the tech community, who will be invaluable in this position and brings a new innovation perspective to the board. Today we'll hear from the Advisory Council Chair, Rebecca Tomkinson, and also Professor Fiona Wood, who's from the board. And we have Jennifer Lawrence and Kane Blackman from the board here as well today, so who all have a keen interest in the success of this sector. We'll also hear from marine biomedical and successful fund recipients, including Argenica Therapeutics, TKI, Telethon Kids Institute, VeinTech and VitalTrace, as they present their innovation projects as part of the early stage biomedical and health showcase. And then following these presentations, please do stay and meet our local medtech and biotech companies who are here in the innovation hall, our innovation market hall today. They have amazing innovations or products, and it's important to see what we do have and celebrate what we do have here in Western Australia. Now, the start of a new funding cycle brings new funding programs and initiatives. And so 5 new fund programs are being made available this cycle. And they include a co-funding partnership program, the refreshed Major Research and Innovation Application Support Program, the Research and Innovation Capacity and Capability Building Program, the Early Career Child Health Research Fellowships that are co-funded by the FHRI Fund and the BrightSpark Foundation, and targeted call Health System Solutions. And so together these projects will inject about $16 million into the sector. Today we'll also launch the start of the new WA Clinical Trials Roadmap that's aimed at setting the direction for the quality and capacity for clinical trials in WA and to guide FHRI Fund investments. And Stacey Waters, who's the Director of OMRI, will discuss the aim of new programs and initiatives and the clinical trials consultation in further detail shortly. I will pause for a moment just to give the team at OMRI a shout out. They have been tremendous and they've worked incredibly hard. I'm not a very patient minister, so I apologise. But we do have this fantastic fund in Western Australia, and without the staff doing the work behind the scenes, engaging with stakeholders, the money wouldn't be going out the door. So to Stacey and her team, thank you very much. And again, I'm sorry, the pressure's not going to lift. We're going to do this together, team. Now, I expect many of you will have already heard about the challenge, and that's been a global call out for an innovative solution to resolve the pressing problem of health service delivery in the Pilbara region. And 10 out of the 93 finalists have progressed to the proof of concept stage, where they've been given 12 months to deliver their solution on the ground in the Pilbara. A number of the finalists are in the room today. And can I say, anticipation is building as we lead up to the final stages. Finalists will undergo a rigorous judging process, and the overall challenge winner, taking home a $5 million prize, will be announced at a special event in a couple of months, in fact, in October in Karratha. We do have an amazing and talented cohort of local researchers and innovation experts or innovators in this state who are doing incredible things. And the Cook government, my government, and Premier, the Cabinet are all committed to assisting local researchers and our innovation system. We want to be a global hub of invention, investment, innovation and impact. We want you to thrive and to prosper. We have our 10-year health and medical research strategy that is guiding us, that is the blueprint, that has the vision of us being a vibrant and interconnected health and medical research sector. And the FHRI Fund is a key initiative making this happen to help strengthen WA's research foundations and to create an environment where researchers can transform their ideas into reality and make a real difference in helping people in our communities. Now, robust and competitive grant review processes are crucial to ensuring that funds are being awarded to the highest quality applications in a fair and transparent manner. And so can I say thank you to the team of grant reviewers who have worked with the OMRI team over the past few months. As you will have heard, as you will see, lots of grant rounds, lots of decision making, lots of grants going out, lots of work. And so to those reviewers, thanks very much. Now, I encourage anybody with expertise and experience in health and medical research and or innovation, and for consumers with experience of a health issue, to participate in future fund grant review processes. And again, contact one of the OMRI team if you've got an interest or know somebody who could contribute to that. To ensure the fund is addressing the needs of WA's health system and our research and innovation sector, there are standing expert committees to provide expert advice and guidance to OMRI and the Advisory Council. And an expert committee in Aboriginal health was established last year and is working to ensure Aboriginal health research is funded in a manner that will maximise benefits for Aboriginal people. We hope to establish a research expert committee and an innovation expert committee over the next few months, so stay tuned about that. So the FHRI Fund is helping reduce barriers and ensuring that our state's economy remains globally competitive. We know that WA is home to many of the world's best researchers, and we want to maintain this status while continuing to work alongside them. By fostering innovation and supporting new and cutting-edge research, we aim to attract even more top talent and to solidify ourselves as a global leader in scientific discovery. It has been great to join you this morning. It is my great pleasure to serve as Minister for Medical Research. I look forward to having a chat to many of you today, and I look forward to working with you over the years ahead. Now, with that, it's my pleasure to introduce the new FHRI Fund Advisory Council Chair, Rebecca Tomkinson, who will now say a few words. Thanks very much.
It's a great pleasure to be a part of what is an extraordinary community this morning, such energy in the room. Can I too acknowledge the traditional custodians of the lands on which we meet, Whadjuk people of a very proud Noongar nation, and just acknowledge again Freda's most eloquent welcome to country. It is always so grounding to have the privilege of listening to Aboriginal people share those stories with us. I think that you are in for an incredible morning. I mean, we've already talked about some disruptive MCs in Tracey and Kevin. What a welcome. We've also touched on being innovative, and Freda encouraged us to think outside of the box. Minister Dawson has already shared the capacity and capability of what the fund can deliver and encouraged you to share so many new ideas. I have the privilege of representing the fund in the board capacity and my board members with me. I'm going to work the technology. Look at that, sensational. It is a huge team effort. I joined in April, and it is humbling to be part of such an incredible group of people. We have a big task in front of us, and to be able to ensure that we meet together the purpose and the objectives of the fund, which I know that you are all very familiar with. I feel the thing that you're really keen to get a sense of course, we have the two streams that we'll be working through and the innovation focus today. But the big piece here is our work over the next 12 months. So really looking to focus on that evaluation piece. Can I also take a moment to acknowledge John van der Wielen as the former chair? I have very big footsteps to follow in, and he is determined that we will continue to deliver on the incredible work that has already been provided by the fund and by all of you in the room today. He keeps me incredibly honest. I also, at a 3-year mark, gives us the chance to really hear from all of you, to really ensure that we are continuing to innovate and continuing to provide great programs that really will deliver for West Australians for many generations to come. We also, very excitingly, have the chance to redefine that vision statement, and the true privilege of any chair coming in is the chance to work with the board and with the broader community on the strategy for the next 3 years. So again, an exciting 12 months, a great time to be part of working together to ensure that we do continue to really showcase West Australians' talent in medical research, in medical innovation. I'm a former chief executive of a Royal Flying Doctor Service. I'm just going to give a shout out to Dr. Kieran in the room here and the incredible practitioners that work across all 2.5 million square kilometres of Western Australia. We might know a little bit about disruption and how that works to bring about great solutions for West Australians. I also want to talk to my substantive day job as a CEO for a Chamber of Minerals and Energy, and talk to the opportunity that we have to bring together two worlds that have indeed worked so closely to deliver for West Australians, but have this chance to absolutely accelerate the technology and the innovation that all West Australians have brought. I love to share that the Chamber came together a little over 100 years ago to build a pipeline inland, more than 600 kilometres of pipe to bring water to the goldfields. And it shows the capability that West Australians have, the tenacity that we have when we come together. And I know that that is in spades in the medical research, innovation, and the fund that we have in front of us. So I'm very much looking forward to working with you. It's great to be a part of the day this morning. I'm looking forward to saying hello and to having a cup of tea. So please do reach out and continue to do the great work. You're in for a fantastic day. I'm going to say a big yanka. Thank you.
Thanks, Rebecca. And thank you, Minister Dawson. So I also get to tell you a little bit about what I do at the WA Life Sciences Innovation Hub. The Hub is a partnership between the State Government, the University of Western Australia, and MTPConnect, the organisation that I work for, which is Australia's Life Sciences Innovation Accelerator. The goals of MTPConnect and the WA Life Sciences Innovation Hub are effectively one and the same. They are to accelerate Australia's and Western Australia's medical technology, biotechnology, pharmaceutical and digital health sector, which is a real mouthful. So for the rest of the morning, I'm just going to say medtech and imagine that I mean all of the above. We do this to try and create new jobs in the state and diversify our economy. The WA Hub is actually one of 5 government innovation hubs that are delivering programs to connect to the innovation community, build capacity and new skills, attract investment and foster commercialisation. Our sister hubs are Cyber West, the WA Data Science Innovation Hub, the Creative Tech Village and the just announced Green Tech Hub. Our team, through staff at the University of Western Australia and MTPConnect, run a program of activities and events delivering opportunities for everyone in the room. We're particularly interested in supporting those developing and commercialising novel medical products, and you're going to hear about several of these today. Whether it's changing the way that we train and support students and budding innovators, empowering clinicians and fostering more collaborative, or working with government to inform more effective strategies, our hub is focused on bringing medtech innovation to life in WA and supporting our innovators to develop their innovations in WA. We are your loudest cheerleader, your support crew, and your guide to navigate an increasingly complicated ecosystem in the state and around the country. We're thrilled to be the co-hosts of today's event with a theme of connecting innovation ecosystem. The FHRI Fund Open Days are a chance for our sector to connect, to share, to celebrate, and to look forward to what more we can do to progress health research, health delivery, and health innovation in our state. We know that these three concepts go hand in hand. Without research, we don't know the effectiveness of what we're doing or how we can do things better. Without innovation, we can't turn our big ideas into a reality that can actually make a difference on patients' lives. And without delivery, our patients here in WA and around the world can't benefit from these great ideas or new products. Making connections between all parts of our ecosystem is vitally important to make WA a place where patients and innovators thrive, bringing better outcomes to patients and diversifying our economy. Under that theme, it is my pleasure to introduce our next speaker, our keynote speaker, Dr. Simon Graindorge, COO of OncoRes Medical. While Simon comes up to the stage, I'm going to slightly embarrass him with a really short introduction. Simon holds a PhD in biomedical engineering from UWA and has spent almost 20 years as an investor and operator in medical device and digital health companies in Europe and Australia. Today he's going to talk to us about OncoRes, who are developing and manufacturing just a kilometre away. Yep. An innovative tool that I can't wait to see transform cancer surgery. Please welcome Simon.
Yunka, good morning everyone. I'd like to begin today as well by acknowledging the Whadjuk Noongar people, the traditional custodians on the land on which we meet, and pay my respects to their elders past, present and future, and any Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander peoples here today, and Yunka, Freda, for that wonderful welcome to country as well. Thank you so much for the invitation to speak to you all and having me here this morning to talk about WA medical technology and also the journey of my particular favourite, which is OncoRes Medical. Life sciences in WA has been bubbling away under the radar for generations, producing transformative innovation that has gone on to improve patient care globally. Historically, many of these innovations left the state early due to lack of funding and executives to drive them, only to be seen again here in WA when we import the now very valuable final products. Recent sector developments, a desire for economic diversification, has brought us to what I believe now is a real inflection point and a real point of opportunity for this industry, our industry. There is a once-in-a-generation opportunity right now to bring all of the necessary ingredients together to create the catalyst for this industry to transform. We now need broad community support, and it's awesome to see all of you in this room together to realise that full potential as a future bedrock industry for WA, and most importantly, to ultimately benefit Australian patients. So I want to take you firstly on a very short ride with me along my own journey through commercialisation, which has seen me privileged to have participated at the heart and lived through the growth of the Oxford and Cambridge life science clusters in the UK, into two of the biggest and most successful life science clusters and commercialisation ecosystems in the world today. I completed my undergraduate degrees at UWA in mechanical engineering and inorganic chemistry. I lasted less than a year in the mining industry before realising it wasn't for me, and so I returned to uni to do a PhD in biomedical engineering, studying cartilage substitution therapies, because, well, it kind of sounded interesting. But that actually began my love of life sciences, and particularly medical technologies. I moved to the UK after that, and very quickly deciding I wanted less research and lab work and more business, I somehow or other, and I still don't to this day quite know how it happened, found myself with a job offer as an investment manager with a company called Tektran Group. Tektran had just been acquired by IP2IPO Limited, and a year later, that combined group became IP Group, a specialist investor which focused on finding and evaluating scientific breakthroughs from academic science in a lab, and then investing and commercialising them, building the team, company around the cool science. The word commercialisation didn't even exist back then. In fact, I think it was called innovation management. The model then was really simple. Find an opportunity and go and run it. And so I did just that several times. Took products through FDA approval, saw them benefiting patients. And over the next 15 years in the UK, as both a life science investor and an operator, I probably evaluated well over several thousand opportunities and saw several hundred companies grow, products approved, benefiting patients. And I was really privileged to be part of and witness firsthand the Oxford ecosystem go from a few license opportunities per year to in 2020 raising more than $1 billion fund dedicated to spin-outs from Oxford University. A few years later, Cambridge joined it and has raised well over $1 billion since 2015, as now the biggest life science cluster in Europe. The impacts of those clusters are extensive and far-reaching, major economic benefit for the UK and diversification, high-value skills and jobs, high-value manufacturing, advanced manufacturing, and positioned at the knowledge frontier to truly embrace and take full advantage of new technologies like AI. I learnt and seen firsthand that a really successful innovation commercialisation ecosystem has three key components. First, a solid base of great ideas. Let's call it great science. Secondly, experienced executives and entrepreneurs to take that really great science and do the really hard job of transforming it into great products and taking those global to benefit patients. And thirdly, capital, lots of it, with a healthy dose of patience too. And to turn that into real sustainable success in these great ecosystems, a catalyst. Historically, global innovation centres and sectors have grown on the back of really major catalysts, often driven by a combination of availability of capital, growth and existence of a truly outstanding company, and success catalyses that flywheel effect, attracting more capital because investors follow success, attracting more talent, which is attracted to capital, and thriving ecosystems and lots of opportunity and solving really big problems, and generating more success. In Silicon Valley, the life sciences sector emerged from the success of Genentech, which was funded by venture capital luminaries like Tom Perkins and Eugene Kleiner of Kleiner Perkins, and Don Valentine, who went on to found Sequoia Ventures. In Boston, Massachusetts, the thriving life science scene there had Amgen at its heart. In Oxford, it was Powderjet that started things. And in Cambridge, life science powerhouses like Abcam, and also AstraZeneca, which moved its global headquarters to Cambridge. And of course, the tech companies like ARM. So how are we doing in WA? And why do I really think we stand here on the brink of a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity? Let's talk about those ideas and the science. WA has a firm foundation of world-changing medical innovations. But unfortunately, these successes are not always well known, either by the WA community or on the national stage. Hands up if you've seen the movie Contagion. So for those online, that's about 3/4 of the room. It's certainly a bit of a more interesting watch these days than when it was originally made. Did you notice that WA's very own Nobel laureate, Barry Marshall, got name-dropped by the lead scientist, Dr. Ali Hextall, as she saves the world, saying, "I am going to do a Barry Marshall," as she plunges the first dose of the vaccine into her own thigh. This WA medical innovation won a Nobel Prize, got name-dropped by Hollywood, and much more importantly, it saved millions of people from having chunks of their stomach removed. Barry proved his theory that stomach ulcers are caused by bacteria by drinking the broth of bacteria cultivated from someone else's stomach, giving himself an ulcer, and curing himself with antibiotics. This experimentation and discovery, alongside Professor Robin Warren, has changed patient care globally. Doctors used to surgically remove parts of your intestine or your stomach to fix ulcers. Now, they can treat you with antibiotics. Talk about being the change you want to see in the world. Look around Australia, and there are many more. Let's talk about Ian Fraser, who radically reduced the number of women who will suffer from cervical cancer with the HPV vaccine, as a result of which we are now looking at the potential for elimination in the Australian population. As a pioneer, Ian faced quite a lot of resistance, including from his colleagues. Australian medical legends have also developed a multitude of devices that are used globally, from Cochlear's implants to ResMed's CPAP machines. If you've ever seen a video of the reaction of a child fitted with a cochlear implant, hearing their parent talk to them for the very first time, you will know what patient impact means. Closer to home, Cook Medical's Zenith endograft for aortic aneurysm repair was invented right here in WA. Aortic aneurysm is a medical emergency and requires immediate surgery in the event of dissection or a rupture, so it carries a very high patient risk, and surgery is an absolutely vital treatment option. Before the Zenith endograft, that surgery involved a cut from the breastbone all the way to the pelvis, and anywhere from 1 to 6 surgical hands rummaging inside the large hole to try and find the aneurysm. Exhilarating perhaps for the surgeons, but not great for the patient. Thank goodness then for David Hartley, a radiographer, and Michael Lawrence Brown, a vascular surgeon, both based at RPH, who invented the Zenith endograft, which can repair the life-threatening aneurysm with a stent that's inserted under X-ray guidance through a small incision in your groin. That bespoke graft has been used to treat over 100,000 patients globally. It's the linchpin of Cook Medical's Australian manufacturing, creating hundreds of local jobs in Queensland. Professor Peter Thompson and his team, who discovered that an inexpensive drug for gout, colchicine, can prevent heart attacks at low doses. Chris Mitchell, who wasn't satisfied with the limited visibility of conventional needles under ultrasound until he found a solution to the problem in many everyday things by banging some holes into a needle in his garage so that you can see it under ultrasound. How genius is that? Making ultrasound-guided nerve blocks for anaesthesia safer, reducing patient needs for opiate-based relief. He had tools made on his own, and after a 6-month test phase, went in search of a suitable industrial partner. What became the cornerstone reflector technology, patented, invented by Chris, is incorporated into the Sonoplex needle range. It's being commercialised by Padjunk, a global medical device company, headquartered in Germany. Professor Hartman and Donna Cross's team that have given parents around the world a better night's sleep through the invention of Medela's Karma teat that reduces colic in bottle-fed babies. UWA spin-out Orthocell, manufacturing a suite of medical devices for bone and soft tissue repair, who have recently been working with a local surgeon, Dr. Alex O'Byrne, to use one of their products to assist in the repair of damaged nerves. The story of Adrian Walsh on their website, for those of you who haven't seen it, a father of 3 made quadriplegic from a mountain biking accident, being able to play wheelchair rugby thanks to regaining useful movement of his arm, shows to me everything that our life sciences industry is about. Impact on people, their lives, their loved ones, and their future. Brave surgeons, brave patients, great technology, all WA. Innovative Australians are changing the face of patient care around the world, and yet these stories too often go unheard. For the last 10 years, when I lived in the UK, we used to make weekly grocery trips to Tesco or Asda, and each trip we had to get apples. You see, apples were the only fruit that all 3 of my kids would eat. For those of you parents, you know exactly how much that means. And the only apple they all liked, a pink lady. So imagine my surprise when 2 or 3 years ago, having returned back to Perth, after 18 years in the UK, in the Harry Perkins building, just down the road here, that I listened to Professor Peter Klinken telling the audience about the wonderful pink lady apple, which was invented right here in WA. And so it was. Pink lady is a promotional name for an apple variety known as the Cripps Pink. The apple was developed in 1973 by horticulturalist David Cripps, Senior Research Officer working for Western Australia's Department of Agriculture at the department's former Stoneville Research Station. The original trees have actually been relocated to Manjimup Horticultural Research Centre, just off the Southwest Highway if you're heading down there. And he crossed the Golden Delicious apple with the Australian variety, Lady Williams. It took almost 25 years of research from that time for it to become commercially available. And the result was a combination of the firm, long-storing property of Lady Williams with the sweetness and lack of storage scald of the Golden Delicious, now one of the world's best-selling apples and most popular fruits. John's main responsibility was actually working with grapevine rootstocks. However, he was permitted to pursue his interest in apple breeding, and I quote, providing that it didn't interfere with work considered more important. I reckon John made the right choice. Nothing epitomises being uncomfortable or being comfortable with the uncomfortable better to me than the stories of some of these pioneering doctors, scientists and engineers who put themselves out there, sometimes risking careers and exposing themselves to failure, and sadly sometimes to ridicule, to make that positive difference in people's lives. Being an agent of change is inherently uncomfortable. I believe that you need to not only get comfortable with being uncomfortable, but you need to embrace it. Look for opportunities to push the boundaries and lead by example. So I think we're doing all right on the ideas, but let's start celebrating and talking about them. And speaking of pushing the boundaries and great ideas, let me take you on the next journey and tell you a little bit more about my favourite one. At OncoRes, we're developing the world's first digital imaging technology to help surgeons remove all of the cancer the first time. Did you know that 30% of Australian women who have breast cancer removed through lumpectomy have to go back for surgery 2 weeks later because the pathologist discovers that there was cancer too close to the edge of the specimen that was removed? 30%, due to the fact that the only tool that surgeons have that they rely on is their sense of touch and their sense of sound to guide them while they're operating as to whether they have removed all of the tumour. When we live in an age where technology rules our lives. A person is diagnosed with breast cancer every 16 seconds. That's almost 2.4 million women every year. The likelihood is we will all have a loved one touched by this disease. Now imagine receiving this diagnosis and having surgery to remove the cancer, only to be told that not all the cancer was removed and you need to return for surgery. These avoidable surgeries create an enormous burden on the healthcare system. And actually, the mere fact that the first surgery was not complete worsens outcomes for the patient. Not to mention the economic, physical, and emotional impact on the patient themselves, their families, and their loved ones. We don't actually even try to measure that in dollars. At OncoRes, the patient is important in everything we do. I have always remembered one of the patients who came in to talk to our team about her experience of this exact problem. And she talked about the fact that 5 years later, even after getting the all clear, it still keeps her up at night, thinking and wondering, if they didn't manage to get it out the first time, how do I know they got it all out the second time? Did I make the right decision going back for a second lumpectomy, or should I have opted to have the whole breast removed at that point? At OncoRes, we believe that all cancer patients deserve the opportunity to move beyond their cancer surgery, knowing that it's all been removed the first time. So what are we doing about it? We're developing a novel digital imaging technology called QME that uniquely translates the surgeon's sense of touch into a microscale image, effectively giving surgeons superpowers of digital touch. Surgeons use our probe inside the surgical cavity in real time to identify tumour that may otherwise have been missed and remove it all during that first surgery. They have more information at their fingertips to make even better decisions before they close the patient. This technology is developed from research that started at UWA and the WA Department of Health in 2011, almost 15 years ago now, led by the incredible breast surgeon and researcher Professor Christabel Saunders, AO, and engineer Professor Brendan Kennedy. Many of you in the room here will also know the amazing and inspirational Kath Giles, our CEO. Kath first saw this technology in 2013, and as a surgeon herself, could immediately see how this technology, now called QME, could offer surgeons what they were looking for, more information under their control to enable more accurate surgery. Kath worked with the inventors for 3 years, initially in her role as an investment manager at Brandon Capital and since 2017 as CEO of OncoRes, to take this incredible technology and create a product out of it, aiming to get it into the hands of surgeons worldwide, to improve patient care and get all the cancer where it belongs, in their bucket, first time. It's no small goal to change the way healthcare is delivered globally, and discomfort is a way of life at every level of a medical startup, as many of you in those companies will know. Every step of the journey is learning for the inventors, the management team, the investors, and the external stakeholders. There's no set or correct pathway to follow, and sometimes it's a case of doing your best, or even making things up and seeing if it works. If you don't make mistakes along the way, you're really not stretching far enough or fast enough. At OncoRes, we call this making waves. It's embedded deeply in our culture and our values. The idea of doing something that's not been done before. It means the rules aren't always there for you to refer to. You need to get comfortable with being uncomfortable, with failing and getting up and trying again, with not always having all the perfect answers before you make a decision. When OncoRes was founded in 2016, the team back then was advised to set OncoRes up in Melbourne because there was no chance you could develop it here, as you won't find experienced management or funding in WA. Remember the two other ingredients I talked about for a successful ecosystem. After the frustration of watching WA innovations slip away for so many years, Kath, however, was determined that OncoRes would grow and develop in WA. When I returned to WA from overseas, I'm a passionate advocate of Australian innovation and manufacturing and bringing that back home, and embracing future and digital technologies like AI, especially around medical innovation from WA. We're determined to see OncoRes grow and develop in WA, but it will not be done under the radar, so that OncoRes' story and returns to local investors can be used to support and grow the sector. OncoRes has faced and overcome some pretty big challenges in the journey to pursue that goal. The first was probably getting that fantastic idea and putting it into a vehicle so it could be commercialised. I'm getting the hurry up, so I will finish this section. I would love to see more done to incentivise academic researchers to commercialise those amazing ideas. But let me close with saying a quote that I've always loved by George Bernard Shaw. You see things and you say, why? But I dream things that never were, and I say, why not? The future belongs to the curious, the ones who are not too afraid to try it, explore it, poke at it, question it, and turn it inside out. Or as we say at OncoRes, to make waves. I'm incredibly excited about what OncoRes can achieve for patients and their families, but also for the ripple effect that we can create for WA by creating opportunities for the economy, diversification, high-value manufacturing, training, and highly skilled jobs. I think we stand at a really unique opportunity in this sector. We have a state government that is committed to this industry as a world-leading, sustainable and value-adding industry. That commitment was demonstrated in the first ever WA Health and Medical Life Sciences strategy a few years ago. We have a minister who is proactively engaged with the sector, is as passionate about this as we all are, and is making things happen. And we have some really exciting companies doing great things. So today I want to ask you to join us all by doing two simple things to start. Firstly, make a wave. And second, be proud of our medical innovators, including those who you will see here today and the rest of this program, and support, nurture, and share their stories. And let's show the world what can be achieved. Juncker.
Thank you so much, Simon. That was incredibly inspirational. Many of us in the room as innovators absolutely relate to everything you said, and there's a call to action there. We need to be telling these stories and telling everybody about the wonderful things happening in WA, so thank you, Simon. As Tracey mentioned earlier, I'm the Chief Scientific Advisor to Dimerix. I can see some of my colleagues from the Dimerix journey in the audience. So before I introduce our next speaker, I'd like to tell you a little bit more about this company that is fast becoming a WA success story. The chronic kidney disease focal segmental glomerulosclerosis, or FSGS, causes inflammation and scarring of the kidney, affecting both children and adults. The condition leads to permanent kidney damage and eventual kidney failure, requiring dialysis or transplantation on average within 5 years. After receiving a kidney transplant, approximately 40% of patients will get reoccurring FSGS in the transplanted kidney, and globally there are no drugs approved for this disease. In March, Dimerix announced successful interim results for a phase 3 clinical trial of DMX-200 to treat FSGS, the only therapy for the condition currently in phase 3 trials anywhere in the world. Following these results with 72 adult patients, Dimerix is in the process of expanding from 70 to 170 trial sites across the globe and expanding the patient base to include children over the age of 12. The next analysis is expected in mid-2025 when 144 patients reach 35 weeks of treatment, and if that is compelling, there may be an opportunity at that point to submit for accelerated marketing approval with the US Food and Drug Administration. That would be a great outcome for those suffering from this disease, and that's based on research from this university in West Australia and the Harry Perkins Institute. As a consequence, Dimerix was announced as the top performing biotech company on the ASX over the last 12 months at the BioShares Summit held in Fremantle over the weekend, winning the Blake Award for Excellence. And remember, a great many of those investors are WA investors. On a different note, but no less relevant to today's innovation theme, Perth Biodesign has also won a national award recently for its iPrep Biodesign PhD industry placement program, which is currently recruiting both companies and students, so please check it out on the Biodesign website. Perth Biodesign now provides a suite of highly successful offerings from a 2-day boot camp, and the next one is the 27th and 28th of August, so register now on the website. A bit of advertising here, sorry. Through to the 7-month flagship course, bringing together multidisciplinary teams of clinicians, researchers, engineers and business professionals to identify, validate and address unmet clinical needs in our hospitals and in WA, developing amazing, talented individuals in the process. We have even spun the program into UWA, where Biodesign training now forms the capstone of the biomedical engineering degrees. I'd like to take this opportunity to thank and acknowledge 2 superstars of the Perth Biodesign program, Dr. Matthew Oldakowski and Dr. Intan Oldakowska. Co-founders of the program, they've driven this program and done amazing things, leading both Perth Biodesign and Biodesign Australia as directors. And their 2 companies, Earflow and Rexortho, are going gangbusters, and because of that, they're going to step back and continue to be advisors of Perth Biodesign, but I have great pleasure in announcing that Chloe Goodred and Oliver Bazzani are stepping up as directors of Perth Biodesign going forward, with me continuing as chair. And Biodesign Australia, they will co-direct that with the wonderful Professor David Gray at the University of Melbourne as directors of Biodesign Australia, again with me chairing Biodesign Australia. So congratulations to all of those people. And that's in addition to the wonderful Sandra Medic, who runs the iPrep Biodesign program, so please contact Sandra if you want to know more about iPrep Biodesign. And of course, David Morrison, who's our senior biomedical engineering lead. So similarly, we have a 2-year pilot of the Australian Clinical Entrepreneur Program, AUSCEP, that's just completed. That was administered by UWA and the University of Melbourne on behalf of MTPConnect, and with additional funding from the Department of Health in WA, so thank you very much, Department of Health. It's been incredibly successful, with 120 clinicians supported across the country to drive their innovations forward. We are incredibly grateful to the WA Government, Department of Health and JITSI for their support of both Perth Biodesign and AUSCEP. So thank you, Minister, and your departments. Now I'd like to introduce our next speaker, Dr. Stacey Waters, Acting Director of Research from the Department of Health's Office of Medical Research Innovation, who will be telling us about the new FHRI Fund programs being launched in this funding round. Please welcome Stacey.
Thank you, Kevin, and thanks so much for coming along today. It's amazing to see so many incredible faces in the crowd. It's an absolute pleasure to be in this role, to be leading the Office of Medical Research and Innovation. And Minister, you are not a difficult minister to work for. In fact, what you have done is turned this portfolio. Sorry, Angela. I don't know which boss I need to impress here. What you've done is actually turned the portfolio on its head, and you've actually given us in the department the permission to be able to provide sector-wide and system-wide leadership. So we're really grateful, and challenge accepted. We've got some incredible things in the pipeline, and really look forward to sharing those with you over the next few months. So today it's my pleasure to announce 5 new funding programs, but also before I do that, to give you a little bit of an update on some of the important work that we're doing within the Office of Medical Research and Innovation. So the first, this isn't a funding program, this is a key piece of work that the department is leading. We know that clinical trials in Western Australia are really critical to our connected, thriving research and innovation ecosystem, as well as the benefits that it then delivers to the WA community. But we also know that we could probably do more to support the clinical trial ecosystem. So what we are embarking on is the development of a clinical trials roadmap for the next 5 years. The aim of that work is to assess the needs for boosting the quality, capacity and capability of our ecosystem within clinical trials, and then to really help us to define and determine funding priorities that are going to best support the ecosystem in delivering clinical trials. So our very first stage is open. We have opened some very broad consultation questions on our website. It really is just an opportunity to hear from you about what the biggest challenges and opportunities are for clinical trials in Western Australia. I think you can all see the QR code by the phones that I can see you taking out. That will take you to a link to our website to the very broad consultation process. We'll continue from this stage to actually roll out some more bespoke and focused consultations as we then develop our clinical trials roadmap for the next 5 years. We have also established a steering committee to guide this work, and I thank you to those people who have agreed to be part of the steering committee. We will continue to give you and share information as we develop and progress this clinical trials roadmap, but I think it's a really key piece that's going to help us in the Western Australian ecosystem. I'd also like to put out a little plug, and thank you, Minister, for also for mentioning this earlier. The Future Health Research and Innovation Fund is the state's premier flagship funding program for research and innovation, but the decision makers are bespoke panels that we establish for every single program that we offer. So with the 5 programs we're opening today, we will establish 5 bespoke assessment panels who will be charged with the decision-making process for determining who is funded. We can't do that without the support of the ecosystem. So if you are a consumer, if you are a researcher or you are an innovator and you'd like to get involved, you'd like to actually be part of one of our panels, we'd love to hear from you. You can nominate at any time, but we really have a focused call out at the moment. So if you'd like to be part of that decision-making process, if you'd like to have a say in how we share the FHRI funding within Western Australia, we'd love you to be on our panels. So please follow the QR code, go onto our website. If you don't have the QR code today, head to the FHRI Fund website and you'll find a link to the EOI, and we really encourage you to submit an expression of interest. I'd also like to just share a little bit about some of the research and innovation committees that are available. So 2 of these are actual national calls, and one of our focus areas within the health and medical research strategy is to really make sure that our grant success rate for nationally competitive grants improves, but to also create this really connected and vibrant research community. One way we can do that is to increase Western Australian representation on national committees, and there is a call open at the moment for the new joint NHMRC and MRFF advisory committees. Really strongly encourage you to consider nominating to be part of those committees. There's also a call open at the moment for NHMRC Principal Committee, and really that's another opportunity to be part of those committees which are focusing more on research, and the Australian Health Ethics Committee are also calling for those nominations. And then, of course, the FHRI Fund itself has 3 expert committees which we have established. We have an Aboriginal research committee who have met 3 times and are really starting to think about the best way to fund and support the development of new talent and an ongoing capacity and capability of Aboriginal health researchers in Western Australia, and I really thank them for the input. It's been a committee that I really enjoy chairing. We will also soon be announcing the new FHRI Fund Research Advisory Committee, and later this year we'll be calling for new members to an Innovation Expert Advisory Committee. Again, I encourage you to stay in contact with us through our website, but also please make sure you subscribe to the FHRI Fund account so you receive those information about those committees when we release them. So the first funding program I'd like to announce today from the FHRI Fund is a targeted call, and it's a health system solution program. As part of this program, it's very much focused on one of our core objects of the FHRI Act, which is about improving the sustainability and the effectiveness and efficiency of the WA health system. So in partnership with our health service providers here in Western Australia, we have opened a call to solve some business challenges that are specific to our health system. So we have 6 individual challenges that we are putting to you, or business challenges, that we're calling for expressions of interest to help us solve. There is 1 challenge per health HSP. It's a 2-stage application process. We'll be asking you to put forward your expression of interest for how you might be able to solve one of those 6 challenges. We will then put those expressions of interest to the specific HSP that has raised the business challenge. We'll be shortlisting applicants. If you're shortlisted, then we will partner you with the HSP so that you can better understand what it is that the challenges they're trying to solve, and we'll help you work up that full application. If you are not connected to a HSP at this point in time, please don't to flood them with questions. We understand that the EOI process will be a general process. We just want to see what your solution is that you can offer to these challenges. Then we'll partner you if you're shortlisted. It is open to all Australian entities. It's an open, competitive and transparent process. The funding available is between $50,000 and $500,000 to solve these challenges, and we are looking, where possible, to be able to support solutions across all of those challenges. The expressions of interest close on the 29th of August. It is a short EOI process, and those people who are shortlisted will move on to a full EOI. So we're really looking forward to seeing maybe existing solutions to these problems or new solutions that you may be able to develop to solve these business challenges within our health system. The next program I would like to announce today is the Research and Innovation Capacity and Capability Building Program, and we did sort of allude to this at the last open day. This is a really exciting program. It's actually set up in 2 streams, but its overall purpose is to enhance Western Australia's health and medical research and innovation capacity and capability through initiatives that develop workforce skills, that build knowledge, that foster collaboration and increase national and international grant competitiveness. We have two streams. The first stream, we are calling for expressions of applications to deliver an expert grant review service in Western Australia. That grant review service should be open to all of our sector, both researchers and innovators, to research and innovators in the WA health system, in the private health system, in universities, medical research institutes, and as broad as we can get. The focus of this program is by bringing in and supporting really good quality, high quality grant review processes so that we can strengthen our nationally competitive grant applications. So we're really looking to find an excellent grant review service that can provide that to our ecosystem. The second stream is a little bit more broad, and this is where we want to say to you, what are the areas of capacity or capability that you think we need to build in Western Australia, and what does that program look like? It is open. We are not. It is not just research. It's not just innovation. We need to know from you the areas that you think we need to build capacity and capability in Western Australia, and put that program to us. could be a new program, it could be a program that is existing. The idea is that we would like to support the implementation of those capacity and capability building programs across the ecosystem over 3 years. The funding available ranges from $900,000 through to $1.2 million, and again, the intention of both of these is to lift the capacity and capability of our ecosystem. It's open to Australian entities. It is again an open, competitive and transparent process, and is also a 2-stage process. So submit your expression of interest. If you're shortlisted, we will take you through to the full application process. The key here is this has to be a need for the Western Australian ecosystem, and it has to be able to demonstrate that it will address that need and it will improve our grant competitiveness and our ecosystem overall. The next program I'd like to announce is we are reopening a refreshed Major Research Application Support Program. This one is now called the Major Research and Innovation Application Support Program. Very, very innovative with our use of titles in OMRI. The idea of this program is to provide in-principle funding support for your applications to nationally competitive grant schemes. We've broadened this now to include innovation schemes. We've also relaxed the requirements somewhat in that the grant scheme you're applying to nationally doesn't need to require co-funding. It needs to strongly suggest that you have to have in principle and co-funding. We've also relaxed the programs that are eligible. We have actually provided a list of programs that we know of, but we know, just like us, the Commonwealth will open new funding programs that we don't know are coming, so we do have the opportunity also for you to come to us and say, a new program has opened, we'd like to consider the MRAS program for support. Again, this is about giving you in-principle support as you submit your grant application for co-funding. Should your application be successful to the nationally competitive scheme, we will provide you with the matched co-funding that has been approved. We have got some dates that the program is opening and closing, which have actually been arranged around the schemes that we know are opening and closing nationally. If you have a program that you see that is open nationally that you think might be eligible, contact us and we will be flexible with our opening and closing dates to make sure we can accommodate any new programs that come up. But the ones that we have deemed to be suitable for this scheme and that we know their opening and closing dates, this is the timeline for applications opening and closing. We had really great success earlier this year. 3 projects were supported through the NHMRC Partnerships Program. 2 of those projects were supported by in-principle funding support through the FHRI Fund Major Research Application Support Scheme. We are opening again the Co-Funding Partnership Program. We're going to be talking with you a little bit today about one of our other co-funding partnership programs that has just opened. But the co-funding partnership program is designed to bring together funding from existing or new external funding sources to effectively combine our funding and provide added value to effectively doubling the commitment that another organisation may have had with matched FHRI funding. There's several streams in here, but this really is open to organisations. It's not individual projects. It's we co-fund with the RAIN Foundation, for example. So the RAIN Foundation provide funding, we provide funding, and we open a grant program which has doubled in its size. So that program is open again. If you are a funding organisation or if you have philanthropic funding or looking at providing funding to health and medical research and innovation, come and talk with us because we might be able to double the money that goes into the ecosystem. There is one more program to open, but I'm going to leave that. It is a co-funding partnership program, and I'm going to leave that to our partners. But before I finish, can I just thank you very much for coming today. It's amazing to see so many people here. The Office of Medical Research and Innovation, we have 2 hats. We have the Secretariat function for the Future Health Research Innovation Fund. We're also the system manager and provide leadership and stewardship for research and innovation across the health system. We're here. If you have questions, if you'd like to discuss anything, if you'd like to raise issues that you see in the sector, we're available to talk and happy to talk with you anytime. I'll be around after today's session, but also contactable at any time, and we'd love to hear from you. So I'd like to now introduce Dr. Andrew Currie from the BrightSpark Foundation's Research Advisory Committee, who will be speaking to you about an exciting new funding program which we will open, which is a co-funded opportunity between the Office of Medical Research and Innovation and the FHRI Fund and BrightSpark Foundation. Thank you.
Thank you all. I'm really excited to be here today to talk about our co-funding partnership program, which is the Early Career Child Health Research Fellowship program. I think taking inspiration from the FHRI, we'll call it the ECHA Fellowship. Nice and easy. You may not have heard of the BrightSpark Foundation, but they have been around for a while, 50 years almost, in supporting child health research in the state. Hundreds of fellows have received either fellowship or salary or grant support in that time, over $10 million in support. There are a number of alumni who have gone on from the BrightSpark support to have stable careers, and I think I'm joined here by my co-chair from the BrightSpark Research Advisory Committee, Associate Professor Louise Naylor, and she'll probably attest, as I will, that it's a pivotal piece of support to keep child health research in WA. There are a range of alumni you may have heard of. Just to sort of speak of one who's our current patron, you may have heard of it, Professor Lynn Beasley. So name dropping done. I think we are doing our bit to try and support child health research. We are joined excitingly this year by the Stan Perrin Charitable Foundation, who have pledged to come into this program, and that means that we are going to be able to offer up to 8 fellows this round and in a round next year. Our last year's round saw 4 fellows appointed who've started their projects, including projects in regional and Aboriginal health in WA, and we're really excited to see where they go. But I think you can see with this scheme, we're going to be able to really build a capacity for child health research in this state and keep it in WA. And that's a big part of this initiative, is to stop the brain drain and retain talent in WA. There's an important part about this fellowship scheme that you need to know, and that is it's a package of support that also requires co-investment. So the institutions that support these individuals to go on need to put some skin in the game, and it's about a 30% contribution from the institution. When we look for applications for these fellowships, we include statements about the role of the supervisors and what they're going to do to mentor, and the role of the institution in saying that this person is valuable to them and will stay as part of their program. And I think that's been a big part of a difference in how this fellowship works. If you're going to have somebody on your team and in your institution, you've got to back them and believe in them. And if you are a young finishing PhD student or an early career researcher, imagine the signal that says that my institution backs me and puts some money behind me in terms of how that gives you self-belief. So I'll just finish and say that if you are a finishing PhD student or an early career researcher in child health research with a passion for that area, go onto the website and have a look at what you can get out of this fellowship application. If you are a mentor and supervisor who's established in this field and you've got team members, please think about how you can support them for future growth and getting them to put in a fellowship. And if you are an institution that supports child health research, please think about how you can invest not only in your people, but in the growth of the whole area for continued support. And I'll just say thank you very much.
Thanks, Andrew, and thanks, Stacey. So it's now my pleasure to introduce Pip Brennan, who will speak to us about consumer and community involvement in research and innovation. Pip is passionate about the lived experience, being at the decision-making table in healthcare and health and medical research and innovation to ensure good health outcomes for the WA community. Please welcome Pip.
Thank you for that introduction. Before I begin, I would just also like to just take a moment to acknowledge the traditional custodians of beautiful Whadjuk Noongar Budja. We're gathered here to talk about health and medical research. And so let's just keep at the top of our mind and in our heart the unacceptable disparity of health outcomes between Aboriginal and non-Aboriginal West Australians. I've now started to add in a recognition of lived experience when I speak, because I think it's just so important to have the lived experience voice at the table. That's what I'm going to be talking about now. So let's start with some definitions. This is one from the NHMRC, and obviously consumers, they are people who are receiving health services and their loved ones. But also consumers might look like someone like me who's got systemic experience. Here's some from the WA Health Translation Network's Consumer and Community Involvement Program, just spreading it out a little bit further from consumers, talks about consumer reps. So consumer reps may or may not have lived experience. And obviously community is really key as well. We talk a lot about community needs and who's going to represent those communities. I like this from our national consumer body, the Consumers Health Forum, and it just talks about that the consumer voice is different from other voices. It has something else to say and must be at the table. Yes, being a consumer rep begins with lived experience, but it doesn't end there. When you have the opportunity, like I have had over the last 25 years, to be involved in I don't really know how many meetings, more than my 10,000 hours, policies, reviews, research projects, things at a state and a national level, you do get to understand how the system works. And you're actually able to code switch between the lived experience voice and what people like yourselves are trying to achieve. Now, I like this goal. It talks about, basically enhancing the skills for consumers so they can get more involved. But we don't come empty-handed. I've recently read this very interesting book, A Field Guide to the Patient-Led Revolution, and I really think this is true. We are ripe for transformation, but we're leaving half the team on the bench, and that is people with lived experience. So the book starts with a really interesting story of a woman who has, insulin-requiring diabetes. She has a continuous glucose monitor, but the alarm doesn't always wake her up. Now, obviously, for her, this is actually a life and death matter. And how she gets around it is her mum has to ring her to make sure she wakes up. She would quite like, because she's an adult, to be a little bit more independent. So she reaches out to the medical device company and she says, "Can you make one with a louder alarm?" And they go, "Nah, it's loud enough." But loud enough for whom, you've got to ask yourself. And what an opportunity that has been missed to work with people with lived experience, the people who are using medical devices to help create the best possible innovations. I quite like this. I know it's a bit provocative, but that idea, I know people hate people who Google about their conditions. It's annoying, I get it. But it's really important. It's really important to remember the expertise of knowing what something feels like. Yes, a clinician will know what it's like to put in a catheter, but do they know what it's like to have one inserted? Does a medical device person know what it's like to have a continuous glucose monitor? Possibly not. Now, let's talk a little bit about engagement methods. There is a plethora of consumer engagement frameworks out there. This is my favourite. Nearly all of them you'll find are based on the the International Association for Public Participation. Has anyone heard of the IAP2? Oh, there's a few hands. Brilliant. So it's basically going from left to right. It's increasing complexity and involvement. This one I really like because it was co-designed in 2015 and published by the Mental Health Commission. And, obviously going from inform, educate, consult, involve, co-design, co-produce and citizen-led. But down the bottom what I really like is it just shows you doing to, doing for, doing with, doing by. We're always looking as consumers as how can we push it up this end? So often we're seen as the people that you do things to, or you do things for, or maybe you give us, out of a huge grant application, you give us a little squeak of money so we can meet with you 3 times a year and you can tell us what you've done and we can decide whether we like it or not. But we'd like a lot more. I actually snitched this from our Health Consumers Council PowerPoint. I worked there, I've actually worked there twice, and this is my third round, but I worked there as an advocate. I was the exec director for 7 years, and then I'm doing a little bit of work on the EMR at the moment. So I snitched this idea because it's really, what it's trying to say is there's something key there, and it's at all stages, at all levels. You need to be involving consumers from right when you're thinking about what to research, right through to dissemination. I mean, I had a little quick chat one day with, because I'm going to do a bit of a name drop, with Lynn Beasley. We're having a dinner, and she was talking about going into this research. They really knew what they wanted, and they wanted to tell the consumers, this is what we're going to do. But what consumers wanted was quite different. And it was really humbling to go, okay, yes, we need to come together and research not just what we want to research, but what matters to consumers. I think it's also important just to flag consumers are not homogenous. You know, what we see as innovation is we see innovation as change that works. We don't want change that harms. So there is a tension between access to, you know, innovations that can save or improve lives. So there's consumer frustrations, and I'm sure you share them too, about, say, for example, how long it takes between a drug that's approved by the TGA and when that can actually get pushed out to market. But there's also consumer frustrations about things like the fact that clinical registries are not mandatory, and we really don't know which medical devices go in which bodies. I wanted to conclude with an example of consumer-led research. I'm not sure if all of you are familiar with baby Riley. He was admitted to hospital as a baby with whooping cough. And while he was in hospital, his parents put together a Light for Riley Facebook page, which absolutely ballooned as people were hoping against hope that he would live. He did not. He died aged 3 weeks, and 2 days later, his bereaved parents spoke to the community, and really what it started out, as it says down the bottom, I feel like we failed to protect him, but if we can protect other children, then perhaps some good has come out of something so awful. And I think you all know that how much involvement they had in making sure that women are able to get a whooping cough immunisation third trimester. And WA still has the highest rate of immunisations in the third trimester. That fuel there is inexhaustible. There will never be enough time and hours and love that those parents can give for baby Riley. This is what you're leaving on the bench when you don't involve the lived experience voice. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Pip, for highlighting the incredible importance of consumer involvement and engagement. I'd like to now invite our next speaker to the stage, FHRI Fund Advisory Council member, Professor Fiona Wood. Fiona's no introduction, but I will highlight that in 2024 she was honoured with the Officer of the Order of Australia, so that's incredibly important, and we're so proud of her for distinguished service to plastic and reconstructive surgery and medical research as a clinician, scientist and mentor. Please welcome Professor Fiona Wood.
Thank you very much. I will reiterate how exciting it is to see so many faces in the room and such energy. And I'm very proud to be part of the board of FHRI, relatively recently also, but to put my shoulder to the wheel, as I agree with Simon, we're at a very important part in our history in Western Australia, and we have great opportunities. And this is the generation that could make the change, so that we have something that we're proud of to hand on to those that come behind us. So I have a few moments to tell you about I bear the scars of this journey. I'm a Y kind of kid who turned into a Y kind of adult and who turned into a Y kind of old person. And along that journey, when you see the resale kit there, Marie and I were able to build here in the late 1990s, but not manufacture here. it absolutely makes me want to sing that OncoRes are doing it here, OrthoCell are doing it here, you know. And, you know, one of the things I think will come back from that engagement for FHRI is, yes, we need capability here to manufacture, whether it be cell-based therapy in GMP facilities or digital or whatever, building here and then actually upscaling, so that we can hold and we can anchor. Because I look at that plastic box and it's got enzymes, electronics in it, and I look at it, how did we do it? I have absolutely no memory of how. It just seems bonkers. But I know we did it with a lot of people. You know, the Go Medical was a place just in a little shack, sort of old building, but in Rockaby Road, where they were building syringe pumps for George O'Neill, and they helped us with electronics and things like that. You know, we found people to help us because we weren't going to give up, because we found a whole lot of other people who told us no. And what I see in the room today is a lot of yes people, you know, and it's like fantastic. And a minister who's a yes minister without all the connotations. In my next life, I'm going to be a stand-up. But anyway, I'll put that thought to one side. But then I look, you know, and I think about honouring that lived experience. I've actually lived that long. I've got lived experience now, particularly orthopaedic. I rattle like a Christmas decoration when I go through the airport. But, yeah, I know 18% of our children are Indigenous in the burns unit. That is a shocking thing. And I know from N equals 1, listening to N equals 1 in my life, in 2003 when I met an 8-year-old boy who had a burn injury of 80% body surface area, catastrophic in anybody's book. But by then, we'd worked so hard in WA that we were going to deliver survival. And we delivered survival with the best, everything the best in the world could offer. If there's anything out there, we were going to get it. And we were going to drive it, so we're producing it. He died as an 11-year-old with a rare cancer. And I was told that was bad luck or coincidence. I know I'm in a room of people who don't believe in bad luck and coincidence. And so we started a program of data linkage. I wanted to know, is there something happening here? And we found from a data linkage program of 34,000 patients requiring treatment in hospital for burn injury since 1988, compared to 120,000 non-burn individuals, there is an increased risk of cancer, heart disease, vascular disease, respiratory disease, gastrointestinal disease, infection, diabetes, mental health. Children before the age of 3 have an increased, 5-fold increase in mental health before they have a memory of the event, and 80% of those children have no visible scar, because we have bust our gut to stop that scarring with the RECELL kit and all those things. And so when I look at this, it brings all the other things that we're doing now, like with the iKnife skin chemistry, having the Phenome Center here has opened my eyes to biochemistry. I hated biochemistry at med school. Give me anatomy, you know, give me something I can cut. But, you know, and the Krebs cycle just blew my head now. But, you know, it's still valid. It's the foundations upon which we're working now. You know, and so being able to link all these things together means I'm far too excited to go off into the sunset, so I'm sorry. But it is the time that if I can put my energy, my passion into driving home this special research, innovation, medtech in WA, then my goodness, I'm in, yeah? And I want all of us to be in and to actually spread the word, like we say. We spend a lot of time under the bushel. And so it's my real pleasure now to say, well done to a whole raft of you. Some of you who are here. I'd have to say thank you to all those people that I collaborate with and all those people that have made our journey possible in the burn injury to change the burns care here into something that's very special and something we're proud of. And so that's why I know it can work, you know? We just need to just get all of us together and coalesce. And there's a lot of folks that coalesce in these next slides. So I think I can't read all the names out, I don't think, as you can see. But we've got, oh, I'm sorry, I forgot what they were for. This is the Near Miss Awards, for the Ideas Grants. The Ideas Grants. If we get one, is it champagne time? No, because we're so exhausted, we can't open the bottle. But it is, you know. But to get the near miss, absolutely vital. All these people will go again because, you know, we get knocked down, but we get up again. I won't be a singer, just saying. But, you know, God, I'm going backwards as well. Gosh, all these people will go again because that's intrinsic. It's given them the near-miss money to go again. I'd like to say congratulations to all of them. Research infrastructure support. FHRI is making all these things possible. Isn't it amazing? You know, research infrastructure, without it, we're dead in the water. And these are the things that have been supported with the amounts over in that last round. And 3-month rounds, that's a very short turnaround. So not only would I like to congratulate everybody on that list, I'd like to congratulate the guys who've been doing it. This is an enormous amount of work, so thank you. The Fund Enabling Scheme. It's all in the word, isn't it? Enabling. We can enable people in many ways. Sharing stories. Saying, no, that is a stupid idea. But saying, oh, interesting. That's a great word, isn't it? Interesting. Euphemism for, that's a stupid idea. Anyway, but it's interesting that there's so many things that we can actually engage and help and support people, get the discussion going, and connect people to enable, and FHRI enabling. And so this is another group of folks that would just like to say thank you, congratulations, thank you FHRI, thank you, and congratulations to all of these people. This is a word that is very powerful. It's a bit like innovation, isn't it? Collaboration. All these things are bandied around, but actually, at the grassroots, it actually means something. Oh, you've got to collaborate in order to get that grant. Oh, who can I talk? Okay, no. It matters that, you know, one head can't solve all the problems. We've got to collaborate, and we've got to collaborate meaningfully. And so bringing together groups that can do so in a meaningful way to build the capacity for collaboration here in WA and to draw in collaborators from nationally and internationally is very, very powerful. So again, thank you and congratulations. The cohort studies. I know that, as I've mentioned, the Phenome Centre being here has actually opened my eyes to biochemistry, but it's actually done an awful lot more than that. And that it gives us an opportunity to really play on the world stage. But they're here in no small part because of this, because the established cohort studies in Western Australia are very powerful, very strong over a long period of time. And their strength is in their continuance. And their continuance in such a way that their data and information can be accessed, can be analysed, can be used both here and abroad, internationally. So again, these groups will be funded during this next funding cycle as they're established, absolutely, but keeping going does matter. So thank you very much. And the major research support. Well, we couldn't do without this, could we? And so there are the three recipients of the major research support, and we'd like to say congratulations for their standard of work. And we couldn't leave innovation out, could we? Especially today. And so the Innovation Seed Fund, again, lots of names, lots of energy, lots of activity. So congratulations. And the Innovation Challenge. There were sustainable health priorities, and here we go again. It's really solid work, isn't it? Real life problems and real life sort of collaborative teams trying to solve those problems. A big shout out to all these guys, well done. And the partnering scheme, without a partner, without the capacity to partner, we can't partner, so this is extraordinary for the RNA facility here at UWA, extraordinary capacity to do really interesting things in the future. Well done. I think I got there. Thank you.
Just wanted to jump up really quickly so you didn't leave the room before I told you two things. One is, this is a really short break. Please come back as soon as possible because we've got a really exciting series of speakers to hear from. Secondly, I think you can exit and enter from the back of the room. Yep, someone's waving, as well as the front. And last but not least, hopefully our speakers and advisory council members don't need to rush off anywhere because we'd like you to come to the front for a photo, please. So we'll see you back here in 10 minutes. Thanks, everyone. So each month, the WA Life Sciences Innovation Hub hosts a spotlight event where the medtech sector gathers to connect, collaborate, learn, and hear the successes and stories of the WA organisations developing medical innovations. And today we're bringing our spotlight in a small way to you with a showcase of 4 WA early stage innovations. Without any further ado, let me introduce you to our first speaker, VeinTech co-founder, director and co-CEO, Dr. Nikhilesh Bappoo, a biomedical engineer who completed his PhD at the Harry Perkins Institute and UWA's Vascular Engineering Lab while following his entrepreneurial spirit. Please welcome Nick.
Thank you for the kind intro, and thanks to the FHRI team, the state government for supporting us to date and for having us tell our story and give you a bit more of an insight into the impact we're making on the most common invasive medical procedure on the planet. So my name's Nick. I'm one of 3 co-founders of VeinTech. We're a company that came out of a Perth Biodesign program that you heard from Kevin before, and we've been going and been operational for the last 4 years. So most of us would have our own stories and experiences dealing with needles going into veins, and that's not surprising. About 1 billion cannulas are placed into veins every year. It's the most common invasive medical procedure, as I mentioned. And you may be surprised that up to 90% of inpatients will have one of those vascular access devices placed into their veins at some point during their stay. But guess what? About half of them will fail in getting them in first time, so that insertion attempt will fail about 40% of the time. And the ones that do make it in will fail, about half of them will fail early, meaning that they might blow up, they might be infected, and they will need replacing and reinserting to continue the delivery of treatment. You don't need to take our word for it. The world's largest players are very actively talking about this problem and understand this problem, and they're actively talking to us about how we can make an impact on a global scale. From the perspective of the patient, the clinician, and customer and healthcare providers around the world, there's 3 things we need to get right. We know about 1/3 of patients are divas, not because they get poked and complain for being stabbed repeatedly, but because they have difficult intravenous access. And that's typically due to a number of reasons. The most common ones being veins that aren't very visible, like with your eye, and veins that you can't feel using your sense of touch. So our ability to visualize veins at depth is incredibly important, and our ability to find those veins and display them in an easy manner is going to be crucial as well in making an impact and seeing those divas. We also know that from the clinician perspective, and this is some new data from a survey that was done in the US, where over 80% of US healthcare providers rated the proficiency of their nurses that perform the bulk of the cannulations as novice. So these are your nurses that are straight out of nursing school that would only have practice on, bits of chicken breasts to cannulate before they start cannulating patients that are doing this job. So the baseline training in cannulating is already quite poor, let alone when it comes to using devices. So really understanding how to make any technology, any solutions as easy as possible to use, reduce that training requirement to the very minimal is going to be very important to drive adoption and help those in need. From the healthcare provider's perspective, the cost per miss is about $20 and the cost per replacement when a cannula blows up is about $70. If we can reduce that 40% failure rate down to about 15%, which is what a skilled sonographer with an ultrasound can achieve, we've estimated we can save healthcare providers around the world $5.4 billion, and that does not include the cost of complications such as infections that may occur, as well as poor insertions. Our customers have told us that if this can be made a reality, if we can deliver a solution that's highly accessible, affordable, and portable, and reduce those high complication rates all along the journey rather than just at the insertion point. And that's what VeinTech is doing. VeinTech is finding the right vein first time, every time. Our world-first ultrasound technology allows for the visualization and selection of veins at depth while being incredibly easy to use and fitting right into the cannulation workflow, as you can see here. It is highly accessible, both in that portability aspect and the cost, and helps reduce that high failure rate and the high costs that plague our healthcare providers. It's a stud finder for veins, is how we describe it, and we've taken an evidence-based approach to develop and make this concept a reality. We outperform our competitors who either fall in that top bracket there due to limitations of depth and being able to see veins at depth, or the ultrasound, which, although clinically effective, is poorly accessible, has a high training requirement, and requires a whole lot of skill and dexterity to use. So since incorporating in 2020, after the Biodesign program, VeinTech has reached a clinical stage in less than 4 years, which is pretty unheard of for most medical device companies. And most of our development has been in-house in Western Australia, with all IP belonging to us. We've been extremely efficient and very grateful to win some non-dilutive funding, and even more efficient investing that in assets, data, people, all here in Western Australia, to make sure that every dollar that gets invested privately goes further, faster. At VeinTech, we really value using our resources efficiently where it matters, and this relentless prioritisation has really helped us achieve some milestones that I look forward to sharing now. We've built an extremely incredible team with experts across engineering, the commercial side of things, clinical advisors, and we've had an emergency physician as a co-founder from day one. She experienced this exact problem in almost all healthcare systems here in WA and overseas as well, before kind of realising we should do something about this. And the timing and the amazing program that Perth Biodesign did really brought a whole range of different skill sets together to make this a reality. We were actually awarded our first FHRI Innovation Seed Fund and Innovation Fellowship in 2022. And not many people would know this, but it is what allowed me as a founder to go in full-time into the business, as well as bring in our first few employees. At this stage, we're up to 16 people in the company, and that doesn't include our amazing advisors that we've built across 3 different continents now. And with market access on the horizon, we've also brought veterans of the medical device industry in the US to chair our board. So we'd like to thank the state government and everyone else that's made this journey possible so far. We've over-delivered on our product development milestone, and we've achieved some phase 1 data ahead of schedule, and we've also got some preliminary phase 2 data to share shortly. Later this year, we'll complete a pilot production run right here in Western Australia to keep commercialisation here. And building off this success, we've also built an incredible and growing patent portfolio that's not only defensible, but also growing in numbers and jurisdictions. We've completed our first pre-submission with the FDA, as well as the first internal audit of our quality management system. And building all of this development that we've kept right here in WA, we've leveraged this success to attract some major federal funding as well, and build a WA-headquartered Australian ultrasound consortium, bringing experts from all around the world to make this impact right here. We're proactively collecting data, both for regulatory clearance and clinical adoption at the moment. And on the bench, we've already shown that we can find a vessel at an accuracy of about 0.15 millimetres, which is comparable to the thickness of standard paper. We've proven we can differentiate between arteries, veins, and background tissue. And we've also shown that when the device is used, we can place these cannulas in at a much higher level of accuracy. We've completed a healthy volunteer study that focused on the sensitivity of our technology, and we've also been extremely pleased to present this at 2 vascular access conferences. With the support of people in the crowd here as well, we've also conducted 6 ethics-approved usability studies with different healthcare organisations here in WA and around Australia. And building off the wealth of that data, we've really validated that our customers are willing to have this device out there as soon as possible and willing to pay for it, as you can see for some of the a few of the many requests we get on our website. So with this in mind, VeinTech is headed towards commercialisation in 2025, and we really believe in this value-based healthcare approach to make an impact for patients, clinicians, and the providers all alike. So on behalf of the VeinTech team, I'd like to thank Minister Dawson, FHRI Fund, the Hub, JETSI, and everyone else in this incredible village we've got here in Western Australia that have enabled us to succeed, but also enabled this industry to be a reality. So with that in mind, if you'd like to find out more about how we're finding the right vein first time every time, please reach out. Thank you.
Thanks very much, Nick. If you want to chat to Nick afterwards, please go and see him in the Innovation Marketplace. I now have pleasure in introducing our next speaker, VitalTrace co-founder and CEO, Dr. Arjun Kaushik, a clinician with a passion for entrepreneurship. Welcome, Arjun.
Thanks for having me. It's great to see some old faces here today. So my name's Arjun. I'm a medical doctor, and I attended the first cohort of the Perth Biodesign program back in 2016, and my journey started from there. So along the way, I'm going to pay some tributes to various aspects of this wonderful community, and that was really where it started. And out of that, my co-founder, Michael Challoner, is in the audience today, came this company called VitalTrace, and we were really inspired to create the new global standard of care to keep mothers and babies safe during childbirth, one of the most central things to the human experience and arguably the most common reason that people go to hospital. And along the way, we created a company that now makes wearable biosensors that are truly unique in the world and are capable of changing the world. So these are the kinds of sensors that we make. They're precision biosensors that can measure biochemicals in real time, which is something that we've never seen before except with continuous glucose monitors that have revolutionized diabetes. And instead of glucose, we measure something called lactate or lactic acid. And they're connected to a wearable electronic unit that then beams it wirelessly where it can be read by clinicians. And so what we're doing is we're able to digitalize our body chemistry. And this is the way that biochemistry is going to be done in the future. Instead of blood tests all the time, we'll be able to put sensors in and see this in real time. Now, we've built this unique technology, and we're targeting a truly unmet need. How do we make childbirth safer? Because we currently have terrible outcomes for mothers and babies because of inaccurate monitoring. And if we solve something as big as that, there's a really big market for solving that $8.4 billion. We've been labelled an FDA breakthrough device, which is really, really helpful. It allows us to talk to the FDA pretty much all the time, and they're helping us get onto the market. And we've been able to translate all the way to a clinical stage company. We're going to start our clinical trial in September or October this year, which is truly really exciting. Along the way, we've built a lot of the capacities we've talked about today, so advanced manufacturing, which I'll show you some pictures of. So let me get into it and let me share a little bit more about this story. So for the mothers in the room, you might be familiar with this. 90% of you will get this device put on if you go into labour. And it measures the baby's heart rate, and unfortunately it's inaccurate. And sometimes the signal that is used to detect when a baby's in distress is actually missed, and those babies go on to have irreversible brain damage, and that's catastrophic for babies and their mothers and their families. On the flip side, we also know that there's a false positive rate of 70%, which means that a lot of the babies that get rushed to an emergency C-section, the babies were healthy the whole time. And unnecessary C-sections actually are more impactful on the mother's health than a vaginal delivery, and they cost a lot more too. So we're just measuring the wrong thing, right? We're measuring heart rate to try and tell us about the baby's oxygenation and whether they have acid buildup in the body that could threaten their organs. We can actually measure acid in the baby during labour, but you can imagine trying to get a single blood sample from a baby is just bordering on impractical. And so years ago now, Michael and myself, coming out of the biodesign program, said, well, what if we could do lactate in real time? What if we could give that binary measure in real time? And that's what we went on to create, and it took us many, many years to do this. But we incorporated it into an existing device that's applied around about 40% of the time, which is a scalp electrode. Imagine that, to the baby's scalp, already used in 40% of the time, and we've incorporated our high-tech sensor into that, meaning no one has to retrain. Except now you just get heart rate. You don't just get heart rate, you get lactate, which allows you to make binary decisions. So now this is what could happen, right? If a baby got a single blood sample there, one of those three markers, we might miss the whole picture. I mean, they might get to that abnormal lactate level. But now, if you can see it in real time, you can actually prevent it before it goes into that red zone. And that's real data, actually. So I have the pleasure of getting to work. My team works with Peter Peeling at UWA, where we perform healthy human studies in athletes on bikes raising their lactate. And you can see the lactate from blood in black, and our sensor is tracking that in real time in the blue and the red. And I'm also here, I think Jane Pillow is here somewhere. We've been working with her for many years on sheep models of birth, where we're also seeing that we can track lactate in real time. Steve from Perron is here as well, and we did some of our earliest work in rat models at Perron Institute. So it's really been an effort from all aspects of the WA ecosystem to get here. And we've been successful in getting a lot of fantastic funding from the WA government, some of which, including the FHRI, FHRI, I don't know what I'm supposed to say anymore, but I like Fury, it's Fury Fund. We've been industriously building our manufacturing, and we have one of the few clean rooms in WA where we actually manufacture sensors. And Michael will remember when we were in my bedroom, and now we work in a place like this. And this is true advanced manufacturing using robotics of a world-first sensor that's happening right here in WA. And this really wouldn't be possible without the Innovation Seed Fund that we won from the Fury Grant and Investment Attraction Fund that the WA government gave us. And you can see now all the pain and hard work and discomfort. The consumer-led research, we interviewed hundreds of mothers and midwives, has all led to us almost starting our first clinical trial. That'll start this year. And the Innovation Seed Grant that we won was really critical in getting through the ethics and all the testing that's involved. So it's really wonderful to be able to give the community a little update. A lot of people have come to work at VitalTrace and gone on to do great things and found their own companies, and we're trying to keep surviving, and we'll keep plodding on. So, and a big thanks to all the people in the community that clearly have helped us get this far. So thanks very much.
Thanks, Arjun. So our next speaker was supposed to be Associate Professor Leanne Kirkham from the Telethon Kids Institute, where she is co-head of the Bacterial Respiratory Infectious Disease Group. Leanne can't tell you about her company, so I'm going to spend 3 seconds telling you that they've got a really exciting bacterial therapy to prevent otitis media. If you'd like to know more, I think there's a little bit on the Telethon Kids website. I'm sure that Leanne would be happy to sit down with you with a coffee at some point and tell you more about Spritz OM.
Thanks, Tracey. So our next speaker then will be the CEO of Argenica Therapeutics, Dr. Liz Dallimore. So Liz has had 20 years' experience in biotechnology management and consulting across Australia and the UK, previously actually director of our sister hub, the WA Bioscience Innovation Hub. So please welcome her to tell you about the best named drug candidate in Australia, ARG-007.
Thanks so much. There's the clicker and I can't see anything on the screen, so apologies. Fantastic to be here. I'm not sure how many people in the room know about Argenica and the path that we're on. We are a spin out of UWA and the Parent Neuroscience Research Institute. We are a listed company, so I'm going to leave that up there for more than a second, that you cannot rely on anything that I say in this presentation to buy shares. But I will all encourage you to buy shares. Just quickly, what we're doing. So we are trying very hard to develop a drug. Drug development, so comparative to medical devices, is extremely difficult. It's extremely time-consuming and extremely capital-intensive. So we have been very fortunate to get a grant from the FHRI fund for just under $500,000 to progress some of this drug development. So what are we trying to do at Argenica? So we are developing what is seen to be the absolute holy grail in neurology. So this is the ability for a drug to protect brain cells after injury. There are no drugs on the market that can do this, and we are one of 2 leading global companies in the world looking to do this. So in saying that, what we're trying to do is obviously address a huge unmet medical need of brain injury. So we're talking about brain injury following strokes, following traumatic brain injury, following hypoxic ischemic encephalopathy, which Arjun quickly touched on, which is brain injury during childbirth, Alzheimer's disease, Parkinson's disease, any neurological brain injury that you think of, we think where our drug can play a role. So in saying this, just imagine the commercial opportunity, but also the impact to patients' lives that this drug can have. I will go quickly. Usually I speak for about 15 minutes to an hour, so I've got 7 minutes. So quickly again, as I said, this drug is a spin out from UWA and Parent. What I love about running this company is that I have a decade of scientific validated data, not only on the efficacy of the drug, but the mechanism of the drug, the safety of the drug, that's all come from our Chief Scientific Officer, Professor Bruno Maloney, who is an absolute humble superstar in our research community in WA. We have undertaken a phase 1 clinical trial here at Linear, and as I said, the second furthest global company to reach this pinnacle in neurology. I will point out that competitive company based in Europe has just received €8.4 million government grant to progress their phase 2 clinical trial. Just going to be controversial, putting that out there. So look, our furthest progressed indication is in stroke. So I just want to touch on that really quickly in terms of how the drug works. So 1 in 4 people in this room will suffer a stroke in their lifetime. Every 19 minutes in Australia, someone will have a stroke. So this is a huge problem, not only in Australia, but globally. So what happens when someone has what we call an ischemic stroke? This is a clot in a blood vessel in the brain. The brain cells last around 3 seconds before they start dying from the lack of oxygen that the blood flow delivers to the brain. So at the moment, for these patients, the only thing they can do is to get to hospital as soon as possible to try and get that clot removed. In the meantime, we know about 1.9 million brain cells are dying every minute. So this idea of neuroprotection, this idea of a drug that can be administered as soon after stroke onset to those patients to protect those brain cells is absolutely critical, and this is what our drug does. So we've done, as I said, huge amounts of preclinical work. So the graph that you can see on your left is our non-human primate studies. So this is showing that our drug, in an exact clinical workflow replica in non-human primates, reduces brain injury by 70% in ischemic stroke. What's really critical in drug development as well, you need to know, first and foremost, also that the drug is safe. That it's safe to deliver regardless of the condition, so the type of stroke that patient's having, so we know it doesn't exacerbate bleeding if someone is having a hemorrhagic stroke. We also know that it's safe to deliver with standard of care drugs, so clot-dissolving drugs. And now we know, having completed our phase 1, that it is safe to deliver in healthy people. So the drug development process, the phase 1, phase 2, phase 3, we are now about a quarter of the way through our phase 2 clinical trial. So this is called the SeanCon trial. I will mention that. I've got another slide. If anyone gets the ARG 007 and the SeanCon reference, you can thank our clinicians for coming up with that. So what we wanted to do with this trial is to keep it all in Australia. What Australia does well on the global stage is neurology clinical trials. I want to make everyone really aware of that. We run early stage neurology, in particular stroke clinical trials, so well in this country and so well in this state. And I really wanted to, as a company, to be able to showcase that. So it is a safety study. In neurology in phase 2, we do have to prove that the drug is safe. For us, from a regulatory point of view, this is the biggest hurdle. You can do no harm with neurology drugs. You just hope that they're also doing some good, some benefit. So we're really looking at safety, and it is a double-blinded study. So we have recruited our first patient. As I said, we're listed, so every information that we have in the company is publicly available. We are continuing to recruit. I get real-time emails. Someone's just had a stroke in a hospital in Australia 12 minutes ago, and they have received our drug. So we are actively recruiting into this study. It's blinded. 50% of the patients will receive our drug. 50% will receive placebo. At the end, we'll work out if it's safe and if it's working. So I just want to point out the hospitals in Australia. We're looking to recruit 92 patients. So this trial will be finished around the end of next year. And we are delighted to have both Fiona Stanley Hospital and Charlie's, Fiona Stanley is activated. Charlie's will be activated this week. They're actively recruiting patients, so really exciting. So I've got a stop sign there, and I've got so much else to talk about, but I will stop. But yeah, thank you for the opportunity. Thank you to the FHRI Fund for funding our Alzheimer's work, and just thank you for the WA community for being so passionate in this sector. And we're really excited to see where it goes. Thank you.
Thanks, Liz. If you want to know more, there's a lot of investment presentations online. I encourage you to look at them. They're amazing. So our last speaker is Patrick Moase from Marine Biomedical. He's the CEO and he's based in Broome. He has more than 24 years of marine biological experience as a scientific researcher and provided advice on legislation and research in the marine commercial sector. Please welcome Patrick, our last but by no means least speaker.
Thank you for the invitation to be here. So, really briefly, Marine Biomedical was co-founded by myself and Professor Minghao Zhang, the University of Western Australia's School of Surgery and Orthopaedics, in 2021. We're actually 3 years old today. So, from incorporation, of course. We did a hell of a lot more work before then. In 2016, we met, and Professor Zhang was up at one of the pearl farms that I was working on, and he was quite interested in having a look at our operation for several different reasons, and then realised that there was a big pile of mother of pearl shells sitting on the boat, which for us was a byproduct of the industry, an absolute pain in the you-know-where. And he went over and picked it up and he looked at it and said, that's bone in a shell. So from there we spawned the idea of having a look to see if we could convert natural calcium carbonate into an orthopaedic bone substitute to treat bony voids. So fast forward to where we are today, we spent a fair bit of time engaged in discussions with the university, of UWA, to have their patent signed across to us, and had the ability, I guess, to form a business diversifying the pearling industry, which was struggling at the time with global financial crises, and the fact that luxury goods, even though pearls are beautiful to wear, were really not a high priority at the time. And we wanted to make sure that we could shine a bit of a light on the pearling industry to see whether there was an opportunity to diversify a sustainable byproduct that was sold to China for a relatively cheap price. So I won't go too much into the technical side of things. My background is a surgeon in pearl oysters. I was trained by the Japanese to seed pearl oysters. Happy to discuss that, but anything else relating to humans, probably not my cup of tea. But that's why we have people like Professor Minghao Zhang and the other co-inventor of Pearlbone, Dr. Chris Ruan, who is active in the business as well. So up on the screen there now is effectively a roadmap of where we've been at. Oh, by the way, props are always good. So that's our product there, Pearlbone. Come and have a look at it. We're pretty much in that final stage of development of the product. Quick snapshot of our first 3 years of achievement. So July 21 to, I guess, March and June was really about forming the business and capital raising. So we raised 2.5 million private equity, and WA government's been fantastic through the Regional Economic Development Grant. So we were able to raise 320,000 through that process over 2 separate funding rounds, and that was to build an ISO 7 clean room here, truck it up to Broome and plant it in place. We converted the ex-Norforce SAS barracks at a location there into a laboratory and dropped on a ISO 7 clean room into place and married the 2 buildings together, and that is Marine Biomedical as it sits today. We're very lucky to win about 1.35 million on the Northern Australian Development Grant. So there is a benefit of being in the regions, and there's not too many of us in the regions. In fact, we're pioneering it in the region, pioneering a medtech industry in the region. So if you write a good application and it gets in front of the right person, we're not really that competitive with anyone up there. Anywhere north of the 26th parallel, actually, no matter which state you're in. So really important to try and bring expertise in the region and try and diversify what is typically oil and gas offshore supply base, retail, tourism. So Marine Biomedical is up there. Marine Biomedical is quite active. Through 2023 and 24, I won't go into it too much, but we commissioned the clean room and have done a lot of batches. In the last 12 months, we've produced 1,400 dosages across 11 batches, proof of concept and just fine-tuning our 13485 standards, and making sure that the facility operating in that environment, which is quite hot and quite humid, doesn't cost us the earth in electricity, but also that we can prove that we can develop a medical device in that region. Right now, we're currently in our ISO 10993 preclinical rabbit model study, and so we're at week 5 in a 12-week study there. Surgeon Professor Bill Walsh at the University of New South Wales is quite happy with the product. He's the first person we had to impress, and we're currently undertaking our sterility and stasis shelf life validation tests right now. Really briefly, we probably couldn't have done this without the support from the WA government, from the federal government at the time. The guys at MTPConnect and JETSI have been fantastic supporters of us. Minister Dawson opened our facility and has been very supportive of what we've been trying to do. I'm going to use the acronym FHRI because I couldn't work out which one was correct. In collaboration with the University of Western Australia, they run an Innovation Seed Fund grant last year to develop Pearlbone with antibiotics. So we're looking at an antibiotic-eluting nanogel to treat osteomyelitis. And considering we're in the region, we're really going to focus on the prevalence of osteomyelitis in Indigenous, so in paediatrics and in the elderly population. It's very difficult to see people traversing that region and have amputations that potentially can be treated earlier by looking at the impact of osteomyelitis. So we're drawing a long bow there, but we're working quite hard to develop those products using gentamicin, tobramycin and vancomycin. So we're currently doing those tests in university right now. So that's really, I'm going to end on this last one here, and that's so I don't have to turn around. This is really our next steps for us. So we're currently transitioning to an electronic QMS system now. We're getting rid of the paper because it's absolutely annoying, and I'm sure the people that are here are used to scribbling on paper, realise how important it is to go electronic. So Pearlbone plus antibiotics is now in its early stage of development. We'll complete our in vivo critical bone defect model towards the end of this first quarter, financial year quarter. And now it's about promoting the product, and we're heading to our application for 510k approval with the FDA in the US, followed by human clinical studies in Australia through the TGA. And we're anticipating FDA notification around March or early April 2025. And then the establishment of our next product, the antibiotic-eluting Pearlbone. So that's it. We were going to answer questions, but we have no time. Thank you.
Thanks, Patrick, and thank you to all the speakers that shared their stories. Hopefully that it didn't go unnoticed. The origin stories of all those companies is really different. There is no normal story, and everyone is trying to do the two things in my mind. Obviously trying to make profit for their investors, but secondly, and most importantly, they're doing something with purpose to try and help patients. So we'd like to congratulate all of the recipients of FHRI Fund grants highlighted today by Fiona Wood. I think you got the best slot, telling everyone all the good news. Yeah. And my key takeaway for you is that the WA Life Sciences Innovation Hub, Kevin, myself, and the people that work with us, we're here to help you. If that's all that you take away from today, then I will have done my job well.
Thank you, Tracey, and thanks to everyone who attended today. It's been an amazing turnout, both in person and online. It certainly shows the impact and the passion for innovation in Western Australia. Before you head out, please note the innovation marketplace. You've already seen as you came through, but please stick around and interact with the people that are holding stalls there in the marketplace. We have Novacina, Inspiring Holdings, Liquium, Earflow, Costoma and Medical Health Solutions. These are local medtech and biotech companies that are doing amazing work, and we encourage you to chat to them. In addition, officers from JITSI and OMRI, as well as Tracey and I, will be in the foyer to continue chatting, so please come and say hello. With that, buffet lunch is now served in the foyer, so please enjoy yourselves, and thank you very much for coming.